I'll let you each introduce yourselves, how you got into crypto, what you're doing in crypto. We'll go one by one. We're going to keep it to 45 minutes, Elena. This is like a power session. Everybody in this group is like boom, boom, and we're just going to knock it out and let people know how they can find out more about what you guys are doing now.
Awesome. Thank you, Anu.
Please jump in.
All right. Who's going to?
You're going to tell us about crypto.
I'm going to start. Okay.
You're going to lead us like how you got into crypto and what Cryptochicks is doing. Mm-hmm. And if you want to talk about Metis style, go for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we started Cryptochicks, me and Natalia. That was back in 2016. And it just... we started actually before. That's right when Vitalik, got into Ethereum. So when he invented Ethereum, and we were trying to figure out the wallet and how to install the Ethereum wallet. And so I had a hard time, and I realized that for other women it could be probably hard too, because we are two software developers and we couldn't kind of figure out. And we decided to open a meetup group. We will explain to girls on how to do it. First day we opened up the group, 50 girls showed up. And we were drawing on the board. We were showing them how blockchain works, how to do this, that. And then, we started doing weekly meetups. And the popularity grew. Then we did a first event. We positioned it as the first ever blockchain hackathon for women. At that time, we didn't even think of starting a company or anything. We were forced to, because, we rented the space. We needed to pay a bill. Like, bill for the space was $35,000. So that was like, we didn't have this kind of money. And so we had to raise, we had to go and call to different companies. Of course, we asked Vitalik to come and speak at the conference, and it helped a lot. And we were able to bring on board Microsoft, IBM, Deloitte, Accenture, so like all the big companies, and also got the sponsorships from them. And we were able to pay for the event and even more. And
what year was this? Was this the year that we came up for the hackathon in Toronto? Was this? Is this what you're talking about? Or was that...
No, that was this. You came up to our second one. Okay. Yeah, that was the first one I'm talking about. So at that event we had. It was 170 women from all over the world. And that was really successful 3-day event with lots of people. We rented a big space. And that was in 2017 when everything was booming, of course, all the ICOs and everything. So, and that's how we started. So basically we were kind of forced to start the company. We didn't think of it. And then, we grew. We decided to do, people reached out to us, open the chapters. So we did hackathons in many places of the world. We did it in Pakistan, for example, in Australia. We did it in Bahamas. So we kind of tried in New York. So we traveled the world doing this, the events, hackathons, and getting the people into our chapters. And right now, eventually we created the Cryptochicks Hatchery. We have right now it's 21 startups in the Cryptochicks Hatchery. This is an incubator that we're doing. We're helping women to start businesses. And we have a Cryptochicks Academy, that's just an online portal. We'll onboard women, help them find the jobs and careers.
Is this new? You did this during the pandemic?
We did this during Cryptochicks Academy. We did during the COVID, yes. Cryptochicks Hatchery, it was for a while now, for at least 2 years. But Cryptochicks Academy is the new one because we couldn't do the in-person events. So we just switched everything to online portal, and that worked too.
Fantastic. Yeah. So this Cryptochicks has been a partner of Crypto Queens since like 2017, 18.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. So we did event with Anu as well. Yes. That was awesome. Yes.
So we always bring them forward and, try to collaborate as much as possible. And the other interesting collaboration was with Nyla in the past. And Nyla's been all over the world, just like you. Like everyone's been crossing paths, and there's women's initiatives, women in crypto, women of crypto, like different ones. And one of the conferences that we went to was Blockchain Unbound in Puerto Rico. And Nyla showed up with this box, this huge box. And, all of us were, I should say all of us, many of us were at this Blockchain Unbound conference in Puerto Rico. And she didn't tell us what was in the box, and we were all just hovering. And I said, whatever that is, I want it. And it said Satoshi is female on these t-shirts. And so by the end of lunch, everybody was wearing these Satoshi's females, parading around the conference. And I'm sure you saw them at some of the
events. Of course I did. Yes, of course. Yes.
So the mastermind is right here. And so I wanted her to share, just like how you guys got orchestrated, really learning about crypto is all about, taking that initiative wherever you find it, finding Facebook groups or social groups or creating your own, whatever it is. But it's all about taking the power into our own hands. And it's a lot about educating yourself like you guys did, and you're educating other women. This is precisely what Nyla and everybody in this movement. So I'll let her talk about how she got started, what she did with it. And of course, we all have lives to live and, this pandemic. So let's dive in, Nyla, and then I'll get to Danielle and how you become a trading phenomenon. Keep going.
Thank you so much. I started out at doing a social justice organization called Mama Hope, which I'm the founder of. And we focus on how do you truly build sustainable communities. Our main focus was doing work in East Africa. And we funded humanitarian projects like schools, water projects, and health clinics alongside businesses. In 2017, when kind of the blockchain thing was starting to blow up, I launched a campaign called Crypto for a Cause, and very quickly was able to raise about 50,000 in Bitcoin at the time, and then take that and use that funding to fund the beginning of a woman who was focusing on building a STEM school in Kenya. And seeing that we had this new technology, and I really didn't understand it, I went and I read the white paper of Bitcoin. And as I read it, I just was like, this was not written by a man. This feels inherently female. It has, it's values driven, it's community centered, it's all about inclusion, and it really is giving us a chance to build a very different kind of economy. And so the way that the Satoshi is female thing came about is I got invited to speak as a social impact person, raising money and raising crypto to support projects. And I just would start by saying, Satoshi is a woman. This is obvious. And most of the room was full of men, and they just were having none of it. But I would give my points about why I believe that Satoshi is a woman. And I told my husband before I went to the Unbound conference, I'm going to make a shirt that says Satoshi is a woman, and I'm going to hand it out. And he was like, I think you need to dial it down and think of something that's more universal and something that's really telling the story, which is this is a feminine technology. This is something that's new and something that people can really grasp on in a different way. And so I made the Satoshi is Female shirts. I went to this incredible women's meetup at Unbound, and there were women from all over the world, and passed out the t-shirts and watched as it very quickly traveled across the conference till the very last speech that was given at the conference, the keynote. The man who was Brock Pierce was wearing a Satoshi is Female shirt that he had asked a woman to give to him, and wanted to represent that this is something that is new. This is something that we should all join in on and really feel like we have space in. And what's been really incredible is seeing how that kind of message spread into Satoshi is African, Satoshi is Black, and had this feeling of let's build something new. Let's all make sure that we're part of this conversation. And, since then, a portion of the t-shirts have gone to help Mama Hope, my organization, and fund projects, and really think about how we're using new technologies to really, figure out new ways of development, and crypto to fund impact across the world. So that's the main story.
Yay. So now you heard it from Nyla. This is going to go in our digital library. We're going to share it with the world. And we're going to continue having more Satoshi's female panels and things like that to continue. this phenomenon of education, right? So it's like we're gonna actually make this happen, and I believe it is already happening at the speed that it's moving. You might have seen this, Elena. You guys are in like 56 chapters now, right? 56 chapters or countries.
Amazing.
So
yes, 56 countries. So yeah, we don't have 56 chapters. No, we have only like we have chapters in the select countries, but yes, not in all 56.
Okay, great. But even then, that's still phenomenal, given that, you know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. You've got this academy, you've got the hatchery, you've got this army of women every time. And next time we do this summit in June, we're going to do more programming, hopefully in Russian. I'll call Manana and everybody. We have 6 weeks to go. But my commitment to you is that we continue what we started. And, you know, it's ultimately, there's more women that need to learn. As long as they need to learn, and we have this virtual platform, and now we're finally getting comfortable with Hopin, I think we can do like more sessions and then make more recordings and share them through your socials and our socials and whatever. So that's kind of like our goal, is coming out of this pandemic, we're going to come back 10 times stronger. Like, and we're going to do that by communicating and educating one another and sharing ultimately. And that's the way forward. That's what I vision. Danielle is interesting. So Danielle has come to me in so many different introductions through friends. And my first time meeting her, I think, was in Hyderabad, India, at the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. And then I saw her in Sharjah, United Arab Emirates, at a pitch competition that we held with the Queen of Sharjah. We lost contact, and then I see her again in crypto universe. So we just kind of like bump into each other all over the world. And I think the last time we were together in person was at the World Economic Forum right before the pandemic with Nyla. And so we sisters like have our way of finding our way virtually or otherwise into each other's worlds. I've invited all three of you to the Florida Blockchain Summit on June 6th to come and reunite in person. And maybe this is going to happen. Elena's confirmed. Nyla, I've told you about this. And then Danielle, I don't know where you're going to be, sister, but I hope you'll be with us. And I've been bribing you all this time. So hopefully this will become reality. You and I saw each other about 3 years ago at the Women in Blockchain Summit during Consensus. Do you guys remember this? And you were just getting into trading at that time. You were just like starting to, like, you were doing SATOSHI is Female, but still, I'm still not ready to invest yet. I'm still thinking about it. Then all of a sudden in pandemic, I spoke to you and you're like, I invested. And this thing is going crazy. And it was like on a Clubhouse or something that I found Danielle, and I'm like, are you investing now? She's like, yeah, I kind of got started. So tell us about your journey, Danielle, and how's it been going for you?
Absolutely. So first of all, it's such a pleasure because I obviously just, Anu, you and I have known each other, and I have so much respect for the entrepreneur that you are and so much of what you're doing to support women around the world. Yeah, so impressive. And Nyla, who just is a beacon of light and has created so much impact in Africa. And I've just been so excited watching her step into the blockchain space, because I feel like that's going to be one area where she can make tremendous change and impact as well. And Elena, it's a pleasure to meet you in person. I've followed your work and had no idea the powerhouse you were behind it. So it's a pleasure to have gotten to hear your story and to learn what your journey was. So thank you, all of you. So it's interesting. So my journey with Bitcoin and blockchain started a few years ago. And I think, I was in New York when kind of the blockchain wave hit. And I had been aware of blockchain actually since its inception. I am secretly quite geeky, like much geekier than I appear. And so I was on a lot of kind of internet chat rooms with other people in the tech space. And so I saw like the very early rises and falls of Bitcoin. So through like Silk Road and Mount Gox and all of those different things. And so, I found it interesting and I would get excited about it. And then I would see it kind of implode. And I'd say, you know what, I'm not ready to kind of get in these waters. It seems, a little questionable. And then I saw the wave kind of hit New York. And, interestingly, I think Nyla pulled me into a working group that was looking at creating a coin for women. And, that really touched off some incredible conversations that were deeply philosophical and deeply fundamental about, the role of value exchange and currency and the way that women's time is spent and undervalued, and the way that women essentially kind of exist in a parallel invisible economy. And so we had started these conversations about, the potential for a technology like blockchain to completely revolutionize how women's labor and time is valued and compensated on a global scale, and the repercussions that would have as well for other communities, right? For women of color, for people all over the world. And there's just this incredible democratizing effect that blockchain can have. So we really were looking at it as this potential to build and architect a really completely new type of future grounded in the agency and full economic participation of women. And so it had been a really, very philosophical conversation. And then, during the pandemic in 2020, I woke up one day and, I don't know if you all know, but my early career, I was an investment banker, and I was a high yield and leverage finance banker, meaning that I dealt in bonds, and I did 25 billion in transactions.
Whoa.
So yeah, I have a highly analytical mind. And so I remember kind of waking up and looking at all of the markets and the projections of what was happening. And I looked at the stock market, the bond market, the real estate market, and I realized there was a problem. There were no returns, and there wasn't anywhere for capital to go. And I realized that the only place for money to go was blockchain. That was the only investment that was going to return, strong, positive, predictable returns. And so I reached out to a friend, and he put me in touch with the CEO of a company called Zap Life and Zap Theory. And over the course of, I think, probably a few days or a few weeks, he very, very efficiently orange pilled me. And I don't think until I really spent the time having that deep, in-depth conversation with him, I don't think I'd fully understood what blockchain really was, what Bitcoin represented, why it was so massively important, why it was something that was the largest revolution since the printing press, the invention of fire, anything else you can think of. It's just massively, it's a massive foundational shift in our evolution as a human collective. And I think even in the way, if you think about the way that the universe stores information, there's something really fascinating about what Bitcoin represents and what it's able to do that's allowing us as humans to catalog history and information in ways we never have before. So I think for me, I've had a really fundamental shift in my view of the world and my view of the future. And, I think I've probably spent every day since then educating myself on Bitcoin, educating myself on the crypto markets, and started investing. And I just, to some degree, it's like when you understand what it is, you just start to close your eyes and move money, right? So, because in some ways the price is not the important thing. You start to understand that it's about what it represents in terms of the value that we create as humans, and the ability to store that value in a way that you can trust and access in the future. And so, I have also just made an effort to educate my family, to educate other female entrepreneurs. So I'm in a couple of communities. I'm part of the List. I'm part of Dreamers and Doers. So I've held, like training sessions for whoever wants to come, just to like brief them and educate them and get them started. So yeah, that's my crypto story.
Yes, and that's where it all begins. Like, we as women, to get other women comfortable, there's always a why are we doing this needs to be central, because it's not just the risk is there. Yes, investment is a risk, but ultimately it's the why. And then the how comes next for us. It's not the how. Men tend to do it like with the how first. Like, how am I going to get into this? Where do I go? How do I sign up? But that why is so fundamental. And for me, it's always represented economic empowerment at unprecedented levels, and what we've never seen before. So when we were doing all these ICO, this crazy time that we talk about in 2017, I actually put money into a fund, Danielle. My background is in private placements for private equity. And when I left my former business, I had 175 billion in my portfolio of all these different private equity funds, from like $100 billion VC to a $20 billion fund of funds, like just knocking them out. And I would look at the returns and say, what's your IRR? What's your composites and things like that? And I had never seen triple, quadruple digit returns. Like, whatever I invested into this Mickey Mouse crypto fund was just like, insane numbers, because altcoins were going crazy and Bitcoin was going crazy back then. And it was a fluke investment, but it was a great fluke investment. But the question was why and how? And when I started talking to the other men, at the World Economic Forum, they were like, well, that's great, but guess what our returns were? And they're looking at, high quadruple digits. But they're crypto whales. And I had no idea what a crypto whale was. I found out later once I got to Russia. But and of course, East Asia, you've got a lot of activity going on in Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea, and so on and so forth. But we were all in it. We were all in deep. And then we were like, okay, let's take a pause. And now, things are picking up again. And it's once the institutional started to pour in, then I was like, this thing is not stopping. Once you get that commitment, right, with these large, known whales, like Elon Musk is getting in, Michael Saylor's getting in, I was like, there's no stopping at this point. I mean, we know who's in, we know who's out. So my whole thesis from day one, and I had spoken to Natalia about this in Toronto, and I said, look, I'm developing a women's wallet. And she's like, cool, bring it to Cryptochicks, we'll test it out for you. And, we have a lot of women that can play with it and whatever. And, I was building it. And then finally, we were all running around like chickens without our heads. This DevCon, that DevCon, this whatever. I would see you guys everywhere. And, I never had time to build this fucking wallet. And so finally, pandemic came along, and I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking about this wrong. Like, it's got to make sense. Why am I using this wallet? And that's when, when I was homeschooling Aria, everyone knows Aria by now, like this little one, she was in like 3rd grade. I'm like, look, I can either put you through college, or I can build something that's going to put 900 million girls through school. Let's take a chance on the future. And we cashed out our college fund. I built this podcast app. You can listen, learn, and earn tokens. And then you've got a wallet where you can transact this. You can spend it, save it, donate it, invest it, but you give the power to the woman that's engaging with your content. And guess what? Maybe they'll create their own content and we can hear what's going on. So this Saturday, Danielle, this is my news, ladies, Nyla, Elena, we signed a contract with the United Nations. And we're taking the tech that's now built on Android, iOS, and Kaios into refugee camps in Bangladesh. So the girls in that part of the world.
Congratulations.
Yes, and you guys have known me from day one, like slaving on this thing. You know how many failures I've been through. And you know how difficult it is to be a woman in tech. And, you know.
Congratulations, Anu. That's a huge accomplishment. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And you're all with me. And I didn't announce it till now, but, you know, like, this is happening. And Elena, you're going to see Natalia and tell them before I tell them. So
sounds good.
Yeah, they're usually the ones to find out first, and then she finds out. But I'm telling her first in this session. But we're going to announce it at the Florida Blockchain Summit. And I'm truly, truly proud of this because we have 300 women-led podcasts on there. Danielle, you and I were talking about this through the pandemic, like, hey, sister, I'm building this. It's built now. It's built, it's signed, it's sealed, it's funded. Through the Islamic Development Bank grant, there were 5,000 applicants from 173 countries, 30 winners, 7 women, 1 Hindu.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Anu, can we just pause?
Yay!
Can we just pause?
Congratulations.
I just want to celebrate you. Every time I've seen you, like, you have been heads down working on this like idea, and I've just seen you. I know we've touched base like every couple of months, and you were applying for the funding, and that like just all these milestones. Congratulations. This is a huge win.
Thank you. And when we sat down in Davos, remember, ladies, like, we were up in that like rent house or wherever we were, with Robert Smith and Kojo and everyone, and I was like, this is what I'm doing. And I was always like, is this going to ever work? You know, like, I was always like, had that trepidation. And what it took is really like the pandemic to push me over the edge. And I was like, those girls out there don't have anything. Like, we have to make this work. Like, this, there is no option. This is the hope. This is the future. This is the now. This is the way forward. I mean, what else is there?
Absolutely. No? Good job, Anu.
It takes so much courage.
Yeah. And it's like a depleted bank account, but that's going to change hopefully soon.
It will. Yeah. Money will follow. Money is not a problem. Yeah.
So on that note, Elena, you're like one of my sheroes. Just given, like, she's a mom. She gets it all done. She's a CEO of like 56 country chapters of like doing this, right? Tell us about Metastal. What is Metastal?
Yeah, so Metascam from our Cryptochicks hatchery, actually one of the startups. I met the founders 2 years ago on one of the Cryptochicks projects that we're working on. And so back then, they actually wanted me to kind of be on the team and lead the idea as well. So the idea is basically to create a platform that anyone without blockchain knowledge can use blockchain. So this is like, as simple as that. For that, we needed to build a very strong tech because, even gas fees, like if you build it on Ethereum, gas fees, all this, transactions, complexity, you need to be developer. So all this needs to be kind of shielded. And so we... They really, went out of the box. They found developers who were self-funding for a long time and found very good, scientists and developers and developed layer 2 technology and then started building a platform on top of it. So tomorrow is actually IDO date. So we've been funding since like already seed funding and private funding since December last year, but the tech was built even before that. And yes, so right now it's 26 people that working at startup. Yeah, I'm also the CEO of this one. It's been a hot journey. And yes, so it like we're going to IDO tomorrow, but after tomorrow, all the works of course just start. So we doing the partnerships, we're developing still a tech. Our alpha test net went live in May. Our main test net is going to go live in June, mid of June, and then third quarter will be main net. So that's this project is going. So but basically, if you want to make your like, let's say, blockchain startup, NFT company, like right now NFTs are so hot, but in order for mint NFT, it's a lot of money, and trade NFT, it's a lot of money just in the gas fees, right? So that's on Metis platform, it can be done with no gas fees. Same for if you create your own blockchain startup, you want to tokenize it, also just a couple of clicks of the button, you can tokenize and you raise the money without the developers, right? Without being the developers.
Wow.
You, like find a job and you do like collaboration between each other. So there is a
smart contract on it.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So it's all done, of course, with the smart contracts. Yes. But we really build the platform so you never will see that you're on the blockchain, right? So you don't need a MetaMask wallet, or anything like that. Though we partner with the wallet, so maybe Anu, we can partner with your wallet.
Yes,
as a front end. So because I need to talk to you then, because
we're gonna get shit done, Elena. Now that like no one can leave their house. I mean, if you can come to Florida, like we can sit down and just really hash this out.
We'll see, right? You have like such a tight rules in Canada. When you come back, we have to pay $2,000, stay in a hotel. Yes, quarantine at home. Yes.
So Maxine,
my husband just said $3,000. We had to pay $3,000, then quarantine in the hotel, then quarantine at the home. So that's like, it's such a tight rules right now here in Canada to come back from US.
Max said he's coming. This is Natalia's son. Max is coming for sure. Coming.
Yeah, I would love to come, but I have to see about the rules and everything. I hope they're going to get lifted because they're talking about it, but we'll see.
It's like 2 weeks away.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Changes every day. Yeah. Anyway, so it's been a whirlwind for me being a CEO of 2 companies, and and a mother and a wife. Though I probably slacking on those duties a little bit,
How old is your Max? How old is your Maxime?
No, it's not my Maxime is not my son. Maxime is Natalia's son.
Okay.
Yeah. My son Pavel, he's 22, and I have another one, 14 years old. So the 2 boys, and they're already quite capable, so they don't need me much.
Awesome. Nyla, you have kids?
Huh?
No.
Nyla, Nyla, you're on
mute. She's on mute.
I don't have any children, but during the pandemic, I have been house sharing with a friend who has 2 children, and have definitely been helping out in a way that I never thought. My life changed in the fact of doing homeschooling and seeing everything that everyone is going through. But it's been good practice.
Yeah.
And I have huge admiration for any mom anywhere. Yes.
Well, this whole thing is in celebration of all moms out there. We all have one, and it's like ultimately just celebrating what's holding this whole world together is this whole feminine energy, and anything that we can do to push it forward, empower. That's like all 3 of you. Like, just like, I hold you in such high regard for the work that not only you do for yourselves, but what you do for other women. And it's always been, like you live by example. And I'm so grateful to have you all in my life, and just like sharing this journey with. And like you said, like we've been in the trenches, and it's still like there's more to come, and just really excited for the future, the potential. We have 10 minutes because Miss Danielle has a call in 10 minutes. So I want to give this some attention, advice to young women and girls getting into the space. All of you have some wisdom to share, and just this is the most critical part of what we do here at Amplifying Her Voice and Economy and Women Investing in Women, of course. So I'm going to let Nyla start, then Elena, and then Danielle. Go for it. Nyla?
I think it's a time for women to redefine value across all different sectors, definitely in their own lives. I feel like I grew up really wanting to have my hands off finances and not understand it and not be part of the conversation. And I really feel like this is a time for women to get involved, because I really do believe this technology is something they will understand and something that they can help grow and build. I think looking at the next generation, already seeing themselves so differently than I think we do. They need to help be the creators of what this is going to look like, because we're still very much in the beginning stages of this. This is just a couple decades out. So get involved, learn, follow Cryptochicks and the State of Women, and really educate yourself. And I know Danielle is one of the most educated people I know about just going for it. She's the one that finally got me to invest, because I did not have the courage, and I just think that we all just need to support each other in that kind of way.
100%. Elena?
Yes, ladies. So if you're not in blockchain yet, please. This is the best thing probably that's going to happen to you. Yes, and that would be the time, right? So right now, before we started all the mass adoption and everything, so we're still in the early and innovator stage of the space. So yeah, that would now would be the time. So please get in, but get yourself educated, because this space is very, very tricky, and you need this, this kind of knowledge. So if you need that help, you can always talk to us. Please, Anu has all our contacts. Yes, and have fun, because this is kind of Wild West right now, and this is so exciting.
Yes, and this is such a welcoming community. The women in the crypto space are all super funky, and they have the best dress sense, and they're super collaborative. That's the thing, is like, you should see like their Instas and their Facebooks, like they're in like kimonos when they go to Japan, and like it's a crazy party, and it's always more women welcome. Like so far, we there's so many of us, and we can always use more. There's never a shortage. Danielle, you next, please.
Sure. I think, back to Nyla's point about how blockchain is redefining value is like so important, right? I think you look at something like NFTs, and on the surface it sounds really confusing, but the reality is that NFTs are creating completely new avenues for companies and brands to value, to engage with customers, to create residual income. I see artists who are in the music business or in the art space that are able to create revenue in completely new ways. And so I think that I really see crypto as an invitation for new voices and for new people to be at the table and to be part of creating completely new models, right, that have never been tested before. And it's, like Elena was saying, right, it's kind of the Wild West. Like, this is all brand new. We're figuring this out together. And I remember someone said to me at a New York event in 2017, and they were like, look, everyone is new to this space. Like, no one in this room has been in this space longer than 18 months. And there's very few, areas, whether it's technology or anything else, where you can say that, right? I think everyone is new to this technology. Everyone is figuring it out. And so you should never feel like you can't step in or you're behind. You're not behind. It hasn't even really started. So I think that, between the work that Elena's doing, and as well as, Anu with Crypto Queens, there's so many amazing communities where you can learn with other people and just get immersed in the space. So I would say jump in and get started. And it really is something that can transform your finances, that can transform how you view the world, and also just, creating new streams of income for yourself as you kind of decide and plan your future.
Amen, sister. So for me, it's like when we all decided to use the internet, remember when you got your first email address and how transformative that was with how you communicate with everyone around you. And you don't go back and say, how does an email work? You don't go, how does the internet work? Like, you just use email, just go buy things online. And people were all skeptical about e-commerce and so on and so forth. This is the new economy. This is the new digital economy. Like, my daughter, who's 10, was with Crypto for Kids. Elena, you were there when we launched Crypto for Kids. And it's that generation that's now like, we want Robux. They're going to say, Mom, can I buy tokens very soon? And watch your reaction, because that's all it is. It's going to be a conversion and say, Robux has now become Ro tokens. It could be. You never know. But ultimately, it's happening before our very eyes. And those digital natives who are homeschooling now, it's like how we walk out of this pandemic. So, all these homeschoolers, yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing. We're going to do this session again in June. We're going to invite everybody that was at the Mother's Day Summit. We had 250 speakers, Danielle. And this summit, we had 300. So we're going to invite all 500 to come back in June for Stronger Together, which is in honor of Father's Day. And we're going to get all the men to come and who support us. And we're going to have a powwow and make this even bigger, this conversation. So we're going to do this session again, the SATOSHI is Female session again, Nyla, and build this out. Anino's going to be with us. I've already recruited her down there in the chat. But basically, it's building this conversation to the point where there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide, except acknowledge that the digital transformation is underway. And when we step out of this pandemic, it will no longer be a he economy. It's going to be a she economy. Yeah. That's all I gotta say. Is like it's very intentional. It's very thought through. And, it's just a matter of repetition, to the point where people say, I get it. And yes, this is the only way to go, because we are not going backwards ever. Right? So thank you all for the work that you're doing. Danielle, you have 3 minutes in case you have to go run somewhere.
Thank you.
Yes, ladies. Are there any more final comments from the floor or comments that you want to throw in here? I'm going to call you all for June 6th and see if we can make this happen.
Okay.
500-person sit-down dinner. I'm going to call you Thursday.
Let's do it. I'm in. I'll be there.
Okay. Gotta commit.
Thank you for organizing this, Anu. This is awesome. Thank you so much. Excellent.
Thank you. I will see you next month. I'm going to send you details, and hopefully in Orlando or virtually, but we'll make it happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.